Hello, friend, and welcome to the podcast. Today on the podcast, I have a special treat. I want to talk about 3 ways that women get it wrong when it comes to drinking less and how to overcome that. And I thought it would be perfect for this time of year because this podcast will drop at the beginning of July. And it's a time where a lot of people go away for the holiday, the 4th of July holiday here in the United States. And wow, drinking can really go out of control. I know for me in the past, that was a big holiday where I'd go all in on drinking all kinds of lovely drinks and being festive and to celebrate. And then when it was all done, I wouldn't feel great about all the decisions that I made and the drinks that I decided to consume. Or if I was like, okay, made peace with it, then I'd be like, okay, now I really got to rein this drinking thing in because it got kind of wild and out of control. So I thought it would be a great time to discuss the 3 ways that women get it wrong when it comes to drinking less and really what to do and how to overcome that. Particularly if you're one that has these tendencies to go all in or overboard, particularly with holidays or out with friends or big time celebrations, and you're just kind of like, I don't want to keep showing up that way. And I really want to learn strategies where I can live a drink less lifestyle. So let's dive in. So, the top way, the first thing I want to talk about is relying on willpower. How many of us have tried that strategy over and over again is to rely on willpower to drink less or to be sober or to cut back on alcohol? And I've talked about this on the podcast in the past. One of the top rated shows was Willpower over Brain Power. I discussed this immensely on the difference. But if you think about willpower, what are you doing? You're willing yourself, you're using force, you're forcing yourself to do something you probably think is a good idea, but it takes a lot of energy and force to prevent yourself from not drinking, to stay away from the drink. And I know a lot of times when I use willpower to do something, when you're forcing yourself to do something and you're bringing this energy to it, like you're committed, but yet you feel like, somehow you're a bad person or you feel deprived because you don't get to do the thing everybody else may be doing around you. And we know that willpower is finite. We know that the resource of that, the energy that it requires to sustain that is a lot. And the body will eventually not have the capacity to keep giving that much energy when we're forcing ourselves to do something. And that's where we may go at it for a few days, a few weeks, and then all of a sudden teeter out and pucker out. That happened to me a lot. I would do these sober Octobers, dry Januaries, and I'd be like, I'm making it these 30 days or these 31 days. And I was looking forward to either November 1st or February 1st because it was like, yes, I'm just going to power through. And then I'm going to come out this changed drinker on the other side. And after doing that for years and not being this changed drinker on the other side, I kept thinking like, am I just failing? How do I keep failing this? How do I keep failing myself? How am I such a success in other areas of my life, but this one area I just can't seem to understand how to rein it in? And it was so frustrating. And I kept blaming myself. I kept saying I was, you know, not figuring it out, not getting it right. How can everybody else can seem to do it around me or not care, but yet I care and I'm trying to do something about it and yet I'm still failing. So that failing and talking to yourself like that, right, doesn't give you the courage to get back on the bandwagon or to try to do it again or feeling like what is going to work? This isn't working and this is what I keep thinking the strategy is. But here all this time I had the wrong strategy. And it wasn't a me failure problem, it was a strategy failure. So, using willpower, I find for so many people that I talk to with wanting to cut back when it comes to their drinking, willpower never seems to work. And so, I really want us to own that and understand that so we can say, oh, if that isn't working, it's not me that's bad, or I shouldn't feel shame about this or disappointment because it's the strategy that isn't working. Now, if it does happen to work for somebody, great. They're on the other side. Maybe their problem wasn't as much of an ingrained habit as it was for me. But if it's not working a few times and you've tried it, chances are trying it again is not going to lead to different results. So relying on that willpower isn't really the strategy that's going to get you there. And also, this is something I find with willpower is it may work in other areas and not necessarily with drinking, but when it works for other areas, it's working because it's working in a different way. When you look at drinking, a lot of times we focus on the alcohol. We focus on giving up the drinking. We focus on doing less of it. And we're thinking that the drinking is the problem. And if you hear me enough times on this podcast, right from episode number 1, I always talk about how drinking is the solution. So if we're going to change the problem, we need to focus on the problem, which isn't the drinking. The drinking is the solution. The drinking is what takes us away from the problem. It lets us forget the problem, lets us numb out from the problem, right? We escape, especially when we have too many drinks, right? Why are we going in for that many drinks? We want that escape. We want that buzz. We want that feeling. And so the drinking is the solution, not the true problem. So also when you use willpower, and if you're using willpower just around the alcohol, of course it's not going to work because it's not the primary problem. It's the secondary problem, right? The primary problem is what's causing you to want the drink, what's causing the desire, what's leading to that. And then when you work on that part, which we do inside of Epic U, inside my group coaching, I also work with clients on a one-on-one basis who don't want to be in a group coaching program, but taking them through exactly what to work on is what is going to change the root of that problem. The drinking is the aftermath. The drinking is the solution for many people. The drinking is, not the true issue. And so having willpower on the wrong part of the problem isn't going to fix the problem because we're not even fixing the problem. We're looking at the solution. And then when you take away that solution and you're just left with the problem, how are you going to feel? You're not going to feel very good. So are you going to want to continue drinking less when you take away the alcohol? That wasn't the problem, but yet it was the thing that gave you relief or reward. And then you take that away. What are you going to be left with? Yeah, you're going to be left feeling, wow, this sucks. Wow, this isn't enjoyable. Wow, this is not epic. I don't know what Sherry's talking about, but this is just not an epic me. I'm moody, I'm grouchy, I'm left with myself, or whatever's going on. And you're going to feel deprived. So, willpower is certainly not going to work. You got to work on the right problem. And it's not by using willpower, it's not by using force. And so, when you look at it that way, then it makes total sense, doesn't it? Doesn't it make total sense when you're like, oh, I can see now why that never worked? Like for me, I can look back and say, oh, I can see why doing another 30-day sobriety wouldn't fix the problem because I wasn't even working on the problem. I was working on the solution and I was focusing on the alcohol when that was not the true problem. So I think that's such an aha when I talk with women about this. It's like, oh, I see how that wasn't helping, but I see how willpower can help with other things, but not certainly not when you're giving up something. And especially if you're not working on the right problem. So when you're thinking about a mistake, make sure you're not just using willpower because it's gonna give out, right? It may only last for a few days or a couple of weeks, but then it will tire out and it's not gonna get you to the different relationship that you want with alcohol. So because if you use willpower, I talk about how that can lead to that feeling of deprivation, right? That's actually number 2. So the second mistake that women make when they want to drink less is that they focus on the drinking less and what they're giving up, right? So again, coming back to that, I'm focusing on alcohol and now I'm focusing on what I'm giving up. When you can focus on, oh my gosh, all the things you're inviting into your life by drinking less. When you're so focused on what you're giving up and woe is me and I feel deprived and I can't drink like other people or I need to change this because somehow I'm broken or flawed, it's going to keep you feeling less than. It's going to keep you feeling like inferior and it's going to keep your brain focusing on the negatives. And that just doesn't create a sense of joy and peace and freedom at all. I mean, isn't the whole goal of drinking less so you can feel more joy and more free and be happy with the choices you're making and be happy because you are expanding your health, decreasing risk for a ton of diseases and cancers? Like, isn't there so much upside to drinking less? But yet, sometimes when I hear people talk about it, especially when we start working together, it's like almost like, oh, I have to do this. This is like a life sentence. Like, oh, I don't want to give it up, but I have to give it up. And I just like to remind you, you don't have to. Nobody's putting a gun to your head to say you have to do this. A lot of times you're choosing to do it, right? Especially when you join a program like mine or hire me as a coach, right? It's like, oh, I'm choosing to do this. And so having that right frame of mind, having that right way of thinking about it can make this a totally positive, joyful, epic experience. And that's why I called it Epic You, because you are not taking away from you. You are actually putting deposits back into you, into your health, into your brain, into your life. And we're making this process enjoyable so you can continue to live this out as a lifestyle. That's why I love Drink Less Lifestyle, right? That's that core program you get inside of Epic You that all my clients get access to, whether you work with me as a one-on-one client or in my group coaching program called Epic You, because you are learning how to be with less alcohol and make yourself more epic. And there's a process to that. It's not just like, oh, when you drink less, you're going to automatically feel epic. I don't think that's most people's experience. And I'll tell you, it was certainly not mine. When I was drinking less, I was somehow feeling that I couldn't do it, or I was wanting this, but nobody around me was wanting this. And this makes me feel like I don't belong or I don't fit in, or now how am I going to cope? Or now what am I going to do for my reward? Now how am I going to have fun? Like, because I had attributed all of that to alcohol, unbeknownst to me, until I was like, oh, yeah, I am attributing that to alcohol. Oh, yeah, I am putting that onus on alcohol. Oh, yeah, I am relying on alcohol for that too, and that too, and that too. Like a lot of my clients will come to me and say, yeah, I rely on alcohol for a lot. Just not my good states, but my bad states. It's part of my daily routine. It's like brushing teeth, right? It's just what I do. I hear that a lot. It's just what I do. It's like just like brushing my teeth, just like taking a shower. It's just part of my routine. And when we have had alcohol in our lives for so long and have had that process of habituating it, of course, you're going to feel a little bit like, oh, well, you take that part away that made me feel so much like myself. That was part of my identity. And now you take that away. It's easy for the brain to go to look at all the things I'm losing. Look at all the things that aren't going to be the same. There's this grieving process I talk a lot about inside of Epic You because we feel like we're losing a part of ourselves. We look like, oh, I'm going to have to pivot and this is going to be really hard. And I'll tell you, the harder you make it, the longer it will take to get there. And you might not even make it sustainable. Like the whole part of doing something is not just for the sake of it being hard, but that you get to the other side where it's easy, right? Like drinking less now is so easy for me. Like I really want you to hear that. It's so easy, so easy. I don't have a lot of mental drama. I hardly have any mental chatter. Like it is so easy. And it's now part of my identity. So I don't have this, I feel lost without it. I don't feel like I don't fit in because I don't drink. And I could talk about it so openly about my past issue, about my current way of being. And when I can be honest about where I was and where I am, ladies, I just have to tell you, there's so much freedom to that. Like, I'm not here to hide anything. I'm not here to tell you it's different than it was. I'm here to own my whole truth and the whole process. And I'm very honest with how long things took. I think a lot of us want this quick fix. We just snap our fingers and it's done. Yeah, we can get information like that from the internet. You want to know something, you want to know when somebody's born, you want to know some fact and statistic, boom, it's right there on the web. Just look it up, right? Click it in. AI can even research things for you now. We're into this instant gratification with so much in our lives, and that's great. But the process of change may take time. And are you up for that? I know I am because I wanted the change. I wanted to be somebody different around alcohol. Alcohol didn't have to change. And if you want alcohol to change, well, good luck with that because I don't know if it's going to. I don't know if the rules around it will change, and that could take forever. But what can happen is I can control myself and my relationship with it 100%. I just needed to know how to do that. Nobody was talking about that. And when I learned how to do that, I was like, oh, this is magnificent. More people need to hear about this because I know I'm not the only one suffering in silence, not talking about it, feeling shame, feeling embarrassment, going, gosh, this is like a minor to major nuisance going on in my world. And some days it felt minor and some days it felt major. And it's like, how do I really get this thorn out of my side? How do I really live more authentically with the way I want to show up in my life? And why can't I talk about this with some people? I know for some women, it's very hard to talk about it, brings us to the top third reason why people fail at living a drink less lifestyle. Another mistake is that they keep trying the same thing by themselves over and over again. And there's so much that goes on inside of our heads that we think we are doing the right thing. But when you join a group and you talk about it, and somebody else who's been there is able to guide you and is able to help break down the shame, able to see things differently, like, oh, that strategy doesn't seem to be working for you. Let's look at a different one. Are you open to that? When you get inside that kind of community, when you get inside and get that kind of support and that kind of help, you will notice that you get results much faster because you're no longer trying to do it by yourself. And I talk about this a lot, right? The whole podcast I have about toxic independence, where I wanted to figure it out. I'm going to figure it out. I'm not going to go to anybody. I'm too much in shame. I have too much embarrassment. And yes, I didn't go to certain aspects to change this habit or this behavior. I did it in a way that felt authentic to me, where I would feel like I would connect, and the result I wanted would also be something that wouldn't be judged or scorned. And I find a lot of people, when you want to cut back, they want you to go sober. And I'm all for that if you want to go there. I'm also all for harm reduction. And that's where I wanted to go at first because it felt too fearful to me to give it all up completely. And so by pulling back the layers, pulling back the layers, pulling back the layers, pulling back the layers. Oh, there's another layer to this drinking. Oh, let's look at that. Let's pull that layer back. Over time, I got to where I am now. So you can go full force and have at it to go completely down to zero, or you may want a different approach and finding a group, a supportive sisterhood that can understand the challenges you are facing. And a lot of times, just having that community where you're like, oh, somebody else gets me and they're able to put it into words that I'm not able to do. Not yet, at least. Maybe there's too much shame. Maybe there's too much hurt. Maybe there's too much pain. Maybe there's so much judgment because, you know, I see women come from alcoholics or women who've been abused by alcoholics. And then they're like, well, then why do I have this? And I don't want this. And I don't want to be this way. And I see what this can do to your life. I could see where the road is going. And I want to live with vibrancy and I want to live with more health. And I just can't seem to get there. And when you try it on your own over and over and over again, what happens? Eventually, you wind up giving up. Because if it isn't working, part of your brain is just like, well, why try this again? It didn't work last time. It didn't work the time before that. And that's where I was, right? Doing those sober Octobers, dry Januaries. I'm like, it's not working. This isn't working. I need a new approach. I need somebody who can help get inside my brain because I'm not understanding how it's wired. And it's frustrating. And somebody to help me rewire my brain to rewire this habit so that I can have freedom would feel amazing. And freedom from it, where I don't have the mental chatter, where I don't have the desire all the time, where I'm not clenching the counter or watching the clock or twiddling my thumbs or like watching the bottle go down and saying, oh my gosh, there's only a drink left and I'm kind of still wanting to keep going, right? And just clenching and just all that tightness, all that stress. And will I have enough? And is there enough in the house? Because I know if I get started, I don't want to leave the house to go drive because I don't want a DUI. I mean, just so much mental energy was exhausting. Exhausting. I know women who measure the amount that they have because if it gets too low, that's critical. Got to go out to the store, got to make sure we haven't had any alcohol while we're going out to the store. Like just the amount of planning and executing and just that mental tab that always seems to be open. You know, like on your computer, you have all these tabs, right? A screen for this, a screen for your email, a screen for that, a screen you're watching and shopping over there. Like all these tabs are open. And I just remember always having this mental tab that was open around drinking. I'm not going to do it. I am going to do it. Oh, I have to go shop for it. Oh, make sure you get it before 3 because you want to stop and start drinking by 5. Like just the constant tab was always open on my brain. And it was exhausting mentally. Not to mention when you drink, it's a depressant. It's exhausting physically the next day for sure. And it heightens your anxiety the next day, right? That anxiety is real. Even if you don't have anxiety, you know, a lot of clients will be like, I don't have anxiety or I do have anxiety. And when I drink the next day, it's so much worse. Like so much, it's so bad that I feel like I need another drink to calm down the anxiety. I'm just pacing and so they blame their anxiety as if they have an anxiety disorder. But if you get rid of the alcohol, the anxiety goes away or drink a lot less, right? Depending on where you're at. And so by helping your body heal is so critical. And so having that support system to say, oh, well, you've tried that in the past and you told me about that like 3 other times and it doesn't seem to be working. So let's look at that strategy because maybe it's not you. Maybe it's the strategy that's not working. And having that level of support is like, then you get to the results much quicker, right? I see also a lot of women who don't feel comfortable talking about this with their friends, obviously not colleagues, a lot of professional women. You can't talk about this openly at work. And maybe your friends won't understand, or maybe they're not on the same journey or at the same place in life where they want to cut back. And so bringing it up feels awkward. It feels like you're calling them out on their drinking. You're not really sure they're going to support you. Maybe your spouse has heard it one too many times and they're just like, okay, and they're not really believing in you. But what if you come to a group and you're like, these women get me, they understand, and they believe in me, and they're helping me with strategies to get to my goal, and I'm going to feel epic and amazing along the way? Sign me up. That's what I call it, Epic You. We live a drink less lifestyle and you learn how to be amazing in your own life. And that form of amazing, by the way, is the way you get to define it. It's like success, right? There's not one definition unless you want to believe in capitalism and you need to buy more and materialistic. There are a lot of people that don't subscribe to that. Some people do, no shame, whatever. You get to decide what success looks like for you. Same thing inside of Epic You and you're living your drink less lifestyle. You get to decide what success looks like for you and also what epic feels like. What feels epic, I'll tell you, is having that mental tab closed around alcohol. I don't think about it. I don't dream about it. I don't shame myself for it. It's just free. I'm just free. It feels amazing. And I won't stop talking about it because it feels so amazing. And I'm so proud that I've done the work that it took to get to the other side. And I'm proud for everybody who's done the work to get to the other side, and using these stories to give people hope who aren't on the other side yet, that it is possible and that you can get to the other side. But it's going to take a little bit of work and an approach that's going to work for you. So if you're interested in joining Epic You and living a drink less lifestyle, I invite you in. Check it out. It's a monthly membership. If you choose to do the group coaching program, it's a monthly membership. You can stay as long as you like. You want to come for a month, check it out. Check out all the resources, check out our calls that we have weekly, and see if it's going to work for you. I find a lot of people start getting results right away, and then they want to stay and they want to stay and they want to stay because their life just keeps getting better. And they want to surround themselves with like-minded women who want to drink less. Talk about ways that they talk about it with their friends or their family, and just all the ways that may come up when you're struggling on this journey to help make it normal. It's like, oh yeah, I've been there too, and here's what helped me. And oh yeah, yes, I've experienced that. And particularly if you have a slip up, because there's nothing that feels so demoralizing to yourself when you're by yourself, when you don't carry through on your plan and you're like, oh yeah, what do I do now? And I think a lot of us get it wrong because we start shaming ourselves and building the shame cycle rather than breaking the shame cycle. And ladies, you know me, I am all about breaking the shame cycle because shame will just keep you stuck. And I've seen it time and time again where people just stay in that shame and they become almost addicted to the shame that then they have to drink because they feel so much shame. And what if you broke the shame? Then you wouldn't need the alcohol. So I think shame can be this vicious cycle that grows and we keep feeding it and we keep feeding it and we keep feeding it and no more, no more. We are busting through the shame, breaking the shame so that we can be free. All right, my friend, I hope you found this podcast very helpful. And if you found it helpful and feel a friend would benefit from listening, please share it with them. I'd appreciate that if you can share this podcast. I think when we are on this health journey to drinking less and supporting one another, it's a beautiful message to send on that podcast episode and say, hey, take a listen. You might benefit from this. And then we can all rise together. All right, my friend, great to be with you this week, and I will see you next week. Thanks for listening to the Health Habits and Epic Living podcast. If you're ready to take the next step to improve your health, wellness, and lifestyle goals, head over to www.epicyou.com and sign up for my weekly newsletter. Again, that's EPICYOU.com. Please note that the information in this podcast is for educational purposes only and does not constitute medical advice.